Thank you. The meeting is called to order at 6:29 again, sorry.
Recording in progress.
We'll start with the approval of the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Let's start first. We had two sets. We had one from the first meeting, which would have been the 7th.
7th and the 12th.
Let's address those first. Questions, omissions, corrections?
Move to accept as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. On to last week, which would have been the 12th, I think.
Yep.
Any corrections, omissions that we'd like to discuss?
Motion to accept as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes pass as presented. Thank you, Colleen, for getting 2 done in 1 week. Your turn.
Yeah, okay, so we have, received a resignation from committee member Mark Zimmerman due to unforeseen circumstances, so he will no longer be a sitting member of the budget committee moving forward. The RSA states that we have to have a minimum of 3 membership or a maximum of no more than 13, so we have 12, so we're well within the limits, or the membership that is needed to fulfill the budget committee, and where we only have 2 more meetings, there's no sense in filling that position. You have more than a quorum to proceed with your business.
Okay.
So
And that will just be on the ballot in
for
March.
that open vacancy.
Okay. So as I stated a few minutes ago, we're gonna jump ahead to government.
Motion to accept his resignation.
Oh,
Motion to accept his resignation.
I'll second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I just have one
And
more? Go ahead.
can I make a
Passes.
motion that, we, do not fill that position? It will be filled in March for voting.
Probably a good idea. Thank you.
And, where we have,
We have so much
12.
little time down. Okay,
right, so
yeah.
we still have enough.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes to stay at 12 for the rest of the session.
And my other bit of information I had at the last meeting, Mr. House had asked the town clerk tax collector how much we had in uncollected taxes, and she gave me the report from, so the tax liens, which are uncollected taxes, for 2007 to 2024 is $691,000.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
And that's it? Are we all set to go on?
Yes.
Okay.
Having
So-
Zoom technical difficulties.
Zoom technical,
Trying to
okay.
figure
We're
out-
gonna jump to government buildings. If you'd introduce yourself and tell us how your year's been.
Good evening, Board. My name is Patrick Golden. I'm the supervisor for buildings and grounds. We take care of all the town-owned buildings and the ground landscaping, mowing, plowing, downtown. So we work with a small crew. It's just myself and one other gentleman, and during the summertime, when our workload more than doubles, we bring on a part-time person for 8 to 9 weeks. We've been very successful with that over the years, and we like to keep that going. The budget that we're proposing to bring to you folks tonight is 5% over the default budget of 2023. And there are 8 items that increase, and all those items are our service contracts, our utilities, insurance, stuff that we have very little control over, that's all outside. We did not go for any new equipment. We did not propose for a new truck. Our truck is old, but we realized with the voters and being in default that they might not be up to seeing us drive around in a new truck. So we have a 2014 Chevy truck with 165,000 miles on it that's showing its age. We're going to nurse it through, and hopefully we can come up with a plan here, and do something in the near future, but we are not proposing to put that on in our budget this year. I'm glad to answer any questions that you folks have.
Very good, I'll take a motion.
I move to, for discussion, line item 01-4194-101 to line item 01-4194-980.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, discussion? Do you have
There's
a,
the-
Your mill building and repair maintenance, Patrick? That's
Yes.
almost double.
The buildings are old.
Okay.
We found that a lot of our annual testing and required tests, similar to the sprinkler system that we found, hadn't been tested for 10 years. And it had to have gone through. The sprinkler heads were outdated, they had to be replaced. We just went through our annual sprinkler test here within the last couple of weeks, and we passed. We're trying to bring all the buildings up to standard, and make sure that we're good to go for everything. But you have to realize these are old buildings and they require a lot of maintenance.
The reason also that change is that the service contract for Otis Elevator in the amount of $7,500 was previously in general government service contracts. So I moved that down to where I felt it was appropriate, as that is a mill item only, so that's why that line has increased as well.
okay.
And then I also want to add, line 4194-324, the retirement line. There was a error in my link, so that new number, for the retirement line is $15,436, bringing the total to $513,473.
Need a motion on that?
Motion to change the figure?
Right.
Okay, I'll make a motion that the figure on the town share retirement, is increased to $15,435? 436.
436.
Can't read my own writing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
So now, why did the figure at the bottom go down if that figure went up?
It went up.
And
It
we're
It
not-
went up.
Oh, I
Well,
thought you said, I'm sorry.
15,436.
I'm sorry. Got it.
So other than your equipment, you got mowers and
Yep.
they're all standing up?
We were very fortunate 2 years ago that a grant became available from Belknap County, to give us $20,000, which the selectmen voted to give to us, to purchase 2 commercial mowers. And we have those mowers and, we maintain them very well. And, we figure you're good for another 10 years.
I think that was a fall thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we got a really good deal. Got a really good deal on 2 brand new ones.
So they're stored over to the,
They're stored
bank
over the
loan.
maintenance shed over in Sergeant Park.
and, I wanna say you've done a great job as far as keeping the trail maintained.
You're right.
Uh,
And that's one of our key things, what we do is we try to, at least once a week, power wash them clean, and do the service maintenance and everything. We realize that kind of a grant is not gonna come around every day. We wanna maintain that equipment. They're great mowers. I mean, we're doing anywhere from 25 to 26 lawns a week. And some lawns, when we're at the peak season, we're having to do twice a week, so,
Yeah, well, it pays to maintain them. I have old
yeah.
stuff, but
Mhm.
change the oil,
Yeah.
not just keep running them, so. Things really look good,
Mhm.
and you've done a good job. See, you had the Christmas decorations up,
Yeah.
getting ahead of things.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
Want to bring the spirit to Belmont.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the
I know
village,
some people say it's a little early, but Thanksgiving's next week, so.
it's,
Plus the
it's
temperatures have
it's
been
not-
great.
not too early when you see, go to the Home Depot and places like that, they got all that stuff out there. So, what major things do you think is gonna have to be done at this building?
What's that?
What major things in this mill need to be taken care of for this
Well,
coming
we
year?
maintain it, we're trying to not to sink a lot of money into it, because of the future plans of moving the town hall over here, if we ever get funds and it's approved by the town. So there'll be, this floor wouldn't be is already renovated. Third floor is a total renovation, and then the second and first floor, it would be different stages depending what plan and how much money the town approves. So, one of the things that we did have to do recently, is change out all the shut-offs on the water on the second floor. We came in on a Monday, and a pipe got let go and ran during the week. Water went from the second to the first. We were very fortunate, that we were able to stop it. But when we went to check all the valves, we found that the valves were installed in 1997. They were all froze. So we got approval from the Board of Selectmen to have a company come in, change all the valves out, so now we're shut off. The valves on the third floor are shut off. That was shut off once the doctor's office went out, so we don't run any water up there at all.
So we don't have any floor alarms for
No.
the weekends and stuff? Okay.
No.
You still buying your bark mulch by the tractor trailer load?
Yes, but we did not, because of the default budget, we did not do that this year. There was no money in the budget to do that. What we did was we just tried to reuse what we had in the gardens.
Fertilizer too?
Fertilizer, very little fertilizer was bought this year.
No.
Fortunately, we had as you know, we had a very rainy summer, so it was, took care of itself.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some things to say about the buildings, but I know that you've got someplace to go, so I'll leave that for later.
Any further questions or comments?
The 22,000 for the computer network side, is that just service contract?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
The 22,000 increase for the computer network line item, is that just service contract?
Question that Alicia would answer?
Okay.
So that is, yes, increases to, the IT service contract, so that current contract that we have in there is kind of a placeholder. We do have an RFP out for a new IT service contract. That, IT service contract in the notes there for the 116
Gotcha.
is what what our current provider gave us for a quote. So I put that there for now, and then, we'll see what all the bids come in at. And we are also, updating our website, so we've also added in the web hosting yearly maintenance in there as well.
Thanks.
And as far as hydrant rental, that's a way that the town kind of subsidizes the water department with the rental on the hydrants, but, because people say, well, I don't have a hydrant, but someday you may need one, they have to shuttle the water and stuff, so that's how, over the years, even when the water department was first established, that was part of the criteria back in the early 1900s, that the water rental for the hydrants. question.
Any further questions? Hearing no more questions, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes.
I'll make a motion for the $15,436. $512,000.
That's actually 513.
Yeah. Yeah, that,
513, 473.
514.
there we go. Had it in the wrong place.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, board.
Now we're gonna go to section 12 for the police.
And also as a reminder, I do have the live version on my computer, and I did update the actuals 2 hours before I got here, so if anyone wants to know an actual of the line, just let me know and I can tell you.
It's in your way.
Section 12.
Ah,
Thank you for adjusting with our schedule change.
I think it would be nice just to, obviously, we all know, or most of us probably know that Mark is retiring in March. What?
In March.
In March. We don't know the exact date, but,
I'll let you know.
you'll let us know. But in the meantime, Steve has been appointed to be our next chief in, once Mark gives us the date, right? Steve will let us know, I'm sure they
When they drag me out.
Well, yeah, there we go. All right, just so that everyone knows.
another
that
one?
Steve, yeah, another one. So Steve is, our next, chief.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's
Oh,
moving
yeah.
forward to-
Carrying on the tradition.
Was it 24 years? 24 years?
Yep.
He's worked for the town for 24 years, so he definitely has earned that position, that's for sure.
How many, Mark?
Got a way to go.
How many, Mark?
I'll be starting my 48th year.
Imagine,
Thank you.
you see his head.
That's what happened.
See?
Well,
It's
we're
already
bowling
started,
alley wax
Steve,
and
it's
you're
already
gonna go.
started.
Yeah, I remember when you were a rookie.
So do I.
I can remember when he came down, he brought his dog and the damn thing bit me. Remember that?
I do.
Oh,
Your dog knew better.
I still got the teeth marks.
How's your year been, sir?
Well, where this is going to be Steve's budget,
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna turn this meeting over to Steve, and he is going to be the spokesman for tonight. So he can tell you how our year's been to this date. And, he can answer all your questions. And I will sit here with moral support, and if there's something I need to interact with, I will. But I think it's only fitting that he's gonna have to live with his budget for the year, so he might as well walk his way through it.
Makes sense.
So, if anybody doesn't know, my name's Steve Ackerstrom. Like Drew said, I've been here for 24 years. So we at the police department been pretty busy. We are short-staffed, as I think every police department is for the most part. We're currently down 4 patrol positions that are funded. There was 1 grant position that we didn't fund this year because of the default. So we're really down 5 positions. Right now, we're working with, there's 6 officers, including supervisors, that are working patrol shifts, out of the 11 positions. Part of what we're doing as the admin and detectives, we're filling in, doing patrol shifts when needed to help out patrol officers. Overall, like I said, we're down, numbers-wise with arrests, crimes being reported, accidents are down, overall calls are down, a little bit. But what I can tell you is our motor vehicle enforcement is up. What we've done this year, we're still continuing to do the drug take back, which we do every year. People can drop off prescription drugs and we give them to the DEA and we dispose of them properly. We're continuing to do the Send Us Little Helpers, program, which if any of you don't know what that is, basically what we do is we take applications in, this time of year, November 8th till December 13th. And for families that are struggling, Christmas time, and we help them out. You know, we make sure the kids have a good Christmas, have a good Christmas. So, we're gonna do that again this year. Next year, we're hoping to bring back National Night Out. That's every August, first Tuesday in August. And that's pending we can hire some staff. So, and with that, you know, we're looking at, trying to compete with the area departments, wage-wise, incentive-wise. One thing that we just put out is to try to hire a canine officer. We'd like to bring that program back as well. Now that program in and of itself, we've gotten donations over the years. We have a replacement fund and then a care and maintenance fund. So essentially the dog and the care of the dog is paid for through donations and no tax dollars for that. And one of the other things that we're gonna continue to do, is grants. We put in for grants all the time, whether it's for, equipment or, patrols where we, look for DUIs or speed enforcement, seatbelt violations, distracted driving, those types of things. So we're gonna continue to do that, to try to do our part to, keep this town safe. And, with all that, I mean, obviously our wages are a huge thing. We don't need to be above anybody, but we need to be somewhat competitive, with area departments. Right now, our starting wage is about $7 an hour lower than area departments, and it's hard to compete with them. So, moving forward, hopefully, we can get this budget passed. We really haven't put anything in the budget that is, other than contract stuff and things that are increased due to everything else increasing in society, like, those are our increases. So, that's in a nutshell.
Great, I'll take a motion.
I move to review line item for discussion, line item 014210-101, to line item 01-4210-119.
Down to which one?
119.
119.
Got the sergeant.
That's the sergeant.
They're out of-
Oh, yeah, okay, I got you.
No one yet, I was just gonna ask. Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Do you have anybody in training now that going to school or?
Nobody right now. Our newest officer this week is actually out on their own. Just got out of the academy back in the beginning of October.
Yeah.
So we have two fairly new people that got out of the academy this year, but nobody in training as we speak.
Well, my complaint is traffic, like on Union Road.
Yeah.
How do you slow them down? I mean, they
We
went
can-
by my house 50, 60 miles an hour passing.
We can be out there and don't slow them down for a period of time, but as soon as we leave, right back at it, unfortunately. So it's the repetitive ones that we need to give
Yeah,
tickets.
well, it used to be years ago, if you got a speeding ticket, your insurance went up, but it doesn't seem to make much difference if they don't have insurance.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate one, but,
It falls back on manpower too. When we're short the way we are, and we're robbing from Peters and big ball, get patrol shifts covered. You're taking detectives away from detective work to work a patrol shift, and then you're expecting them to continue their detective work and close cases and bring cases to fruition with arrests it's just a never-ending battle that we're going through, and, you know, Steve stepped up and Evan stepped up, and they're covering patrol shifts. I'm there, I back them when I can, I help them when I can, but it's the shortage that hurts, because where you could do directed patrols and put people out on Union, Brown Hill,
Yeah.
Bean Hill, you don't have the manpower. They're handling calls, they can't sit there, you give them directed patrol, they go out there, they sit for 2 minutes, they get a call, they have to leave. So, we're hoping it gets better, and as Steve had said, if the budget passes like we're hoping it does, and they address the wage issue, I think we'll be able to attract people, I think they'll stay, and I think that'll make a really big difference, like it was many years ago. I mean, I can't remember how far back when we were actually full staff. We had periods of time when we were full staff, maybe a week, 4 weeks, and then we lose one. So now we're in a hole again. So I think if we can get something established that's concrete, that shows someone that they can be here, the longevity could be here, their pay will stay on an incremental basis competitive with the other areas, we may not lose people to these other agencies. Right now, they're jumping. You know, we're fighting a battle right now against Laconia, one that we'll never win and one that we'll never try to compete with. But they're hiring right now at $65,000 for an uncertified police officer, and along with that goes a bonus. So their top-end patrolman on the scale that they have now will top out at $34,000 as a patrolman. So that's kind of a tough battle for us when we're $6 to $7 in the hole on our starting salary right now.
And I think the other problem is that their contract didn't pass.
Well-
So what kind of, if you're a young guy and you're looking at Belmont and they couldn't even get their contract passed, right? And we'll be going back into this autumn, next August, I guess is how we wanna look at it. We're back into 3-year, into our next union negotiations,
Negotiating again.
so.
Well, it didn't help for national media defund the police, and the
Well,
police are all
no,
bad and all
but
that stuff.
still, it didn't
So to
help.
go into that profession,
Right, but
And
it
it's-
didn't help the residents of Belmont by voting, the few people that came out and voted to vote down their contract.
so then your makeup, it never works.
It doesn't show, it doesn't help their morale. I know if I was a police officer, it wouldn't help my morale to think, why do I wanna be out here putting my life on the line and the taxpayers don't even support us?
Yeah, I know.
So, that's,
And police work is police work no matter where you go.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what town you go to, you're doing the same job. So if the town, the next town over is gonna pay you $5, $6 more an hour to do the same job, why would you?
And we're on the main route to Laconia and Guilford and all of those places, where we got 106, 107, 140,
Transit
Route
population.
3, and you never know who you're gonna stop. It's
And
scary,
we
I'm
have a fairly good
sure.
homeless population right now. So, I mean, we've got a lot of things going on, and obviously they do their shopping at night.
Yeah.
And it's tough.
I know.
people don't do their shopping at night. I parked in Laconia and had a woman knocking on my window.
Try working downtown in Laconia.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
I work at Meldrum Prescott right on the corner, and they're right walking. Somebody came in with Narcan the other day because they found it in the parking lot.
Do you have a forecast of when you might hire the vacancies?
We're accepting applications now. We have a couple of people that have expressed interest. One of them's moving up from, I think it's North Carolina, who's actually a certified police officer and wants to move to this area, so we're looking forward to meeting that person to see if they're a good fit for our department.
And how do you recruit new people?
Well, it's challenging. I mean, we put it out on New Hampshire Municipal, for job advertisements, our Facebook page,
what capabilities did you have to do, like remote, monitoring of things, like to address like speeding on roads, to take pictures of violators or anything?
Well, as far as pictures go, I mean, we have we have a couple of speed boards that can take photos, but they're not equipped with a high resolution camera to be able to actually get a plate. Just as a deterrent, if you see the speed board that's on Route 140 coming down the hill by the elementary school, it's a great deterrent. That is one thing that we got through a grant, to try to help kids safely cross the road. It gets people to slow down. So we have a speed trailer that's made by the same company that does similar things. So that's one thing that we try to do. Even with it being out there, just being more present. I mean, that's how we're gonna do it.
Is it a lot more to get a high resolution camera on those, or?
Well, even if we got a better camera in those, and they're built into them, so I don't think it's something that we can even change out. But you'd have to identify the person who's driving the vehicle
Right.
in order to, cite them for something. So
It's not like Easy Pass where the owner of the vehicle is responsible for the fine.
yeah.
No, I know in
We
most
need to
cases,
know who the operator is.
in most cases you can't hold them anyway, right, for just a picture, I don't think so.
Right.
But at least it's a deterrent, right?
And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know.
I just wanted, while you're talking about union and the wages, in your spreadsheets, you'll see that you have a column that says article cost items. So that is essentially pulled out of this budget, because that will be a separate warrant article. If you've gone to town meeting and voted, you'll see when we put out the union contracts, they have to be their own article. So we pull out what that article will be from what you are looking at in your budget. And so those are all itemized there. So what it essentially is the difference between wages now, where we want them to be. And then you'll see where it says total budget with cost items. If both are approved, meaning the budget and the warrant article, that's what will be basically folded over into the operating budget.
Wages are actually pretty low when you look at it. You expect a, person that have a family and a house and a vehicle and all that stuff, that's a pretty low salary. In this day and age, it's not really, I don't know, what they were saying was, you're gonna make 6 figures to have a house today. And that's just, one person, both people have to be working. Pretty bad.
So what are who are the two newly trained? What are their salaries looking like?
It's gonna be 121. And
122.
no, the other newest one is 104.
Which are the same.
Which is the same numbers.
67,338.
If
If the
both
article
pop, yes.
If the article
If
passes.
they pass.
How many officers get to take vehicles in?
3 or 4, depends on if they're on call or not. It could be 5.
Move the question.
Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So, motion passes. Take a new motion?
Move for discussion line item 01-4210-120 through 01-4210-220.
Second?
Discussion?
What is the offsetting revenue? What is that referring to?
That's referring to, so when companies come into town, and they're doing like road construction or whatnot, and they hire a police officer to go out to help with traffic or whatnot, they pay that.
Okay.
So the town bills the company, and then it's an offsetting revenue back.
Working road details, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And the line 191, the offsetting revenue from Gilmington, we share, our services with our prosecutor, so they pay that stipend towards sharing the services. And then the line 125, the special duty pay, the offsetting revenue, the school 100% offsets the cost of 140? 141.
Yep.
Oh, my numbers are, oh. Yes, 141 also has offsetting revenue from the school district, so we invoice them quarterly for his salary. But we still have to budget for it, so.
Is the court system still backed up, or are they on top of things? That's still,
At the district level, they're okay, but at the county attorney's office, they're still backed up pretty good. I know I have cases that I've sent up there back in January, February, haven't heard anything.
so what happens to the defendant? They just in limbo?
Well, it depends if they've been arrested or not. But yeah, they're either out on bail, or a lot of times if they've been arrested, they have to indict them within 90 days, and then they're on bail until their court case is heard.
Do we have, in the station, do we have holding cells, or we don't hold prisoners there? do we?
We have 2 holding cells. It's just temporary while we're there with them, and then if they have to be held for any length of time, that's when we bring them to the county jail.
And we have a Sally Port in,
And the reason for the holding cells is basically, if we have multiple arrests, we can put them in those holding cells while they process one individual at a time. So it's a safety thing, and we can just transfer them when they're all done bail and get them out.
so, thinking back, the cruisers that we used to get on rentals, the back seat wasn't big enough to put a individual in. Is that
We
been
actually-
resolved, or is that still a problem?
So the seats that you would normally see in the back of a car, we actually take those out, and there's a hard plastic seat that we put in there. So it's actually bigger, and it's safer, because you can see everything. They can't hide anything in the seats, and anything happens in there can be easily cleaned. So
And they slide in easier.
yeah. Seatbelts are positioned definitely, so we don't have to reach across them, they come towards us, so there's some safety things there.
Is that every cruiser has?
All the control bars out.
How many cruisers do we have?
Well,
All various mileages and stuff, right? Okay.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Before we take another motion, Colleen, did you have things to send around for a signature? Minutes? We'll sign them next time, that's okay. I thought I missed them, I thought Tyke had them.
We figured Tyke had them all.
Thanks. I'm going home.
We'll get them next time, I just thought maybe we lost them. All right. We'll take a motion, sorry, Tyke.
I move for
No,
discussion
wait.
line item 01-4210-230 through 01-4210-719.
Second.
Discussion?
2:30, you said?
Yes.
All right, where was it? Disability. What was that number?
316.
16, okay. Motion to,
Somebody moved all of them.
no, I know.
Oh, you're gonna make the
but
motion now? Go
well,
ahead.
she changed the number, right?
Yep, go right ahead.
So, on 316, motion to change that number to, what did you have?
$6,491.
$491.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We can just do the new total at the end, Colleen? Thank you.
Oh, we gotta discuss this.
What are the charges with the New Humane Society in Laconia?
Mhm.
The Humane Society,
The
the
Humane
dog
Society.
officer.
Oh, so the, for the Humane Society, that is, that's where we bring all of our stray dogs and cats, the town contracts with, and our animal control officer, that comes out of there as well. The animal control officer that we have, we partner with Laconia and Guilford to hire one person to do all three towns. And she also does parking enforcement in Laconia.
Mhm.
So basically, whenever we have any issues with dogs or cats, we call her and she comes and takes care of them. It was, for a while, we didn't have an animal control officer. And we finally were able to hire one this May or June, I think it was, so.
And
That's
Laconia,
huge.
Laconia supplies the vehicle for her and the equipment,
Mhm.
so it's really a
It's a
decent
good deal.
That's a good deal.
We've been doing it for how many years? It's
Well, there
been,
was another
another
woman
one,
that did it for years and years,
Yeah.
and then she got done, right?
And she got,
And then there was a void, I don't know how long that void
A
was.
year or so.
Was
about
it?
a year, and then they hired,
Yeah,
they finally had applicants and hired her. She's done a great job.
Do we have any animal control issues? Or?
Oh, we have a lot of animal control issues. People will call about stray cats, she'll set a trap and catch it. Barking dogs or any nuisance dogs, vicious dogs, she deals with all of those, stray dogs that are just running loose, so.
Do they also handle the dogs that we have to confiscate because the pet owners don't do their licensing?
We don't confiscate them for,
Sure.
yeah. So,
But they-
we do make, she does, reach out to those that haven't registered their dogs to make sure that they register them, so. She either goes to their house or calls them, so.
And if there are any animal seizures, and we've done animal seizures in the past, but that's basically in conjunction with the Humane Society itself and their investigator, along with the state veterinarian. So we've seized horses before and goats and some other animals, and dogs, just, from places where they're just unkept and, getting ill. But fortunately, we haven't had to do that in a few years, so that's good.
Any new cruisers in sight?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let Steve take care of this one.
Well, I guess it depends on what we have left for funding, but we'd like to be able to purchase some if we have funding at the end of the year here.
Yeah.
So,
obviously, because it was a default, they were not able to, our rotation's gone out the window again. They were due for 2, and that would have been this past year. Now, in all reality, they are due for 4. So that won't happen, but
How old's the oldest cruiser you got in service?
2016, I think it was,
How many do you lease?
we lease purchase them.
All of them?
We do 3-year leases. Usually get a good deal on the interest rate. And at the end of the lease, we own them. And what we've been doing for the last couple of years anyway, they've been going to auction as opposed to being trade-ins. And we get more money. Trade-ins, we've been averaging about $4,000, 35, 4,000. sent in, we get about $8,000 for it. So, the auction's the way to go, right now.
And again, what's gonna happen is, we either buy new cruisers or we pay it out in,
Maintenance.
maintenance. And I think if anybody's had anything done to their vehicle lately, that chokes the horse. But, yeah, so that's what we're fighting against.
On retirement, does the state contribute anything to retirement for police officers anymore?
I have no idea.
You know, years ago, when they started the retirement system,
But they changed it. They changed it a few years ago, but now isn't there talk of changing it again?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they're talking about going back to maybe what it was before.
That's what the talk is.
I think
Yeah.
that's just the
Talk is cheap.
amount of years that you have to put in.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
no, but the state, when they started up their retirement system, the state used to give 35% of the retirement. Then they balanced their budget, then they went to 25%. And then they went to 0, so that pushed all of that retirement
Back on
on,
the towns.
onto the towns, on the property taxpayer, and which makes it pretty difficult that, you know, the state's not contributed to that anymore. I know they have the, training and all of that stuff that they do down there that they didn't used to do, but, we always end up with a short end.
As we know, the states, we're getting less and less in many different things that has to do with our budget. We get less and less every year.
Yeah, and, you know, of course, the town gets blamed for increase in insurance, but it's the same way with education, right? Once the Claremont thing went through, and now, it's like $2 a thousand or whatever it is, that our taxpayer money goes to the state, right? And they made them look good, but didn't help us any, anyway.
In regards to your question about the cruisers, right now, we're spending, we're watching the budget to see how much, if any, extra money will be in the budget. We also have some, unspent ARPA funds that we need to account for by the end of the year, so we're looking to see if maybe we can fund one cruiser through those funds. For right now, I believe what the Board of Selectmen did is they put into this budget, the cost to purchase one cruiser, if we are able to fund the other two this year. If it doesn't work out that we can't fund those two this year, I believe they will probably rediscuss that line item, add those two so that they can get three, and then probably bring that back to you guys for consideration if we're not able to fund those this year.
Yeah, communications, that was an issue for a long time, you know, digital and analog and all that stuff. Do you have any problems with communications in different areas of the town? I know that
Right now, there's
repeaters and stuff you've got.
Repeaters are up
some
there.
buildings are harder to get out of, and we're looking at, switching out our repeater that's up on Liberty Hill. That's outdated, but we're looking at, doing that here shortly as well. But otherwise, I mean, communication wise, we can, on a portable, we can hear anybody within the town.
So you're all digital now?
Yeah.
And we were on Liberty Hill with the original antenna, and then we moved it. So we moved it up to the Pike antenna, which is further up on the hill by about a half a mile or better. And that helped a lot.
I bet it did.
So it gave us better coverage, because we had probably a half a dozen good dead spots in town where you were done. You tried to, and then we went to repeaters in the cruisers. So we put repeaters in the cruisers, for example, when the dog track was running a lot, and we had issues there. If an officer went inside the dog track, he had no communication. So we put the repeaters in the cars, so when he got out of the track, he flipped the switch, went to the repeater system, put the repeater on his portable, and he could talk fine. It'd be like talking out of his mobile. But now we got a little issue with repeaters in the cars, we're trying to rectify that. But we're getting good reception with the move that we made. So it's good.
And your base station and everything's good in the new facility?
Everything's good right now, so.
I know you got new antennas and all that stuff compared to the old ones.
And when we put the new building in, the equipment upgraded then too. So it's much better. And we've taken the old equipment, and we're using it in our, what we call the secondary EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, which is in our building. So if something were to happen at the fire station, we could actually run out of the police station and talk to highway and
Yeah.
fire ambulance, so.
So your generator kicks on once a week or something to?
That thing has been a gem, but it hasn't come on at the wrong time. We haven't had a storm yet, so. The old generator, that was the point, we didn't know whether it was gonna start or not.
Well, hopefully you're good for a couple of years, till you retire anyway.
Do you use any drones? Do you have any drones?
It's actually, we just talked about that.
Just had that conversation today in my office, and, see, Mike,
So we are looking at possibly getting one of those, so part of our, where we would get this funding from is, when officers, seize any type of money or assets of people through drugs, it's returned, a portion of that is returned to us, and that is something that we can actually use for drug investigations, and that's certainly would
So they're gonna let you use some of those funds to purchase a drone?
yes,
Interesting.
because we can use it for drug investigations.
Interesting,
And
because I
that's,
know,
and that's where it's very
mhm.
strict.
I
So
know
it
that.
has to be
Mhm.
for drug investigations or drug case, drug equipment, testing equipment, things of that nature. It can't be used for like buying a cruiser. So we had a good hit a while ago. We seized $94,000 out of a deal we had. And our take is coming back to us, it's gonna be 77 grand. So
Wow.
that was a good.
That's good buy.
Now, once you have the drone though, it doesn't necessarily, it can be used for anything, not just drug, but you can use the drone for anything. But you're specific, but they've loosened that up because you weren't able to do that before.
Right.
Good, good.
So we're looking at different technologies and whatnot to try to, I mean, it's a huge, time saving and officer safety savings for having drones. I mean, canines are great, drones are great as well, so we're trying
They
to,
all have their place.
they do.
Saves you a lot of foot activity if you're looking for a lost person or a child or
Right.
something like that. You can cover a lot of ground with a drone that you can't on foot, so it has a lot of options.
One question. If you received a grant for the drone, does it also cover training, so you use the drone?
This particular one does, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's being used by law enforcement, you have to be a certified pilot
Okay,
for the drone.
all right.
So you have to send someone to school, they'd have to pass the FAA test and
And the bad guys, they don't need anything. Oh, God. I know.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes. That's your new number.
Selectmen's recommendation of $3,161,230.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think Steve did a great job, I think we'll
I think so.
The last one, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
see you later.
Thank you.
Good you're handing them out and I'm passing them
Thank you.
around. They don't get past Tyke.
He must have heard.
Easy.
Thank you.
It's basically just handing out a quick, up-to-date, where we are with our call volume. Basically, I'll get the statistics out of it, basically sending it early Monday.
So Chief, why don't you introduce yourself? We do have several new members, and tell us about your year.
Jeff Black, Fire Chief. This is, Donald Pitwitz. Yes, he does have a similar name to someone else in a department in this town. He's my assistant fire chief. As you know, last year I was up here by myself. In, January, Pitwitz joined the team. This year's been a pretty busy year for us. As you see, we're up in calls by like 68 calls as of today. We are up at calls. You're gonna see that we're at like 13 something there, and last year we ended at 15, but we still have another month and a half to those calls. At this point, we're 60, we're like 69 calls ahead. To 15 with calls and calls for services and inspections and everything. We, I'm kind of gonna sing the same thing that the chief, captain said about, staffing. We've been trying to maintain our full staffing. We're in the same boat with the other departments with pay. We are about $6, $7 behind other departments. For the pay and, we do have 2 grant positions still that we're probably getting about a year and a half to 2 years, I think, left in that. And the reason we've got more time on it is because I haven't been able to completely fill it all the time due to, not having anybody to hire. I've got one opening right now from the retirement this past summer, and I've got one person applied for it. I even opened up the position again, and still only have one person for the job.
You said grant position?
Yeah, we had the Safer Grant a couple years ago.
Explain it to the new
So
people.
the Safer Grant is, initially we had put in for 6 firefighters, which would bring us up to be basically NFPA compliant for a full-time department. Which meant being able to arrive on a scene with the ample amount of people. That also included mutual aid partners, which our surrounding area, we have a mutual aid agreement with surrounding towns, 35 towns basically, with a mutual aid agreement. Obviously, unless something's really big, that 35th town doesn't really get down here because it's pretty far away. So, so they ended up getting bumped down to just 2 people, so I have 2 grant positions that are paid by FEMA. They pay for their salaries, benefits, and like I said, we have it, it's a 3-year grant. I'm hoping at some point to start pushing towards bringing in to make that a permanent position. As we can talk about as we kind of go through things. But I do have about a year and a half to 2 years left on that, depending on when I fill this depending on when I get someone to fill this position, because the money that we got for it.
Well, I didn't interrupt, but people didn't know what the grant meant, so.
Oh, gotcha, alright. So anyways, I'm still trying to fill that one position. We've kind of slowed down on people leaving. Since I started, we had 11 people leave. That was when I I started as the assistant fire chief, I had 11 people leave, we had all those people to fill. I've had one person leave, that was just through a retirement, Lieutenant Murphy had retired this past summer. In the interim, I was able to promote one of our firefighters up to a lieutenant, and from there, this gentleman had been on the call department years ago, so he's kind of progressed up through the steps and ranks of the department. So I've got that taken care of. I'm running right now with, we've got 4 shifts, or 4 groups. 2 groups have 3 people on them, 1 lieutenant, 2 firefighters. 2 shifts have 4 on them, 3 firefighters and 1 lieutenant. The benefit of having the 4 in a shift is, as you can see, we've done a lot of multiple calls. Multiple calls is the ambulance or the fire trucks being called out simultaneously, and being able to staff all the pieces that need to go out. The ambulance is probably the one that gets called out the most. And during the day, during the week and whatnot, Chief Picklets and I can help cover the second ambulance if we need to, if we're not out doing inspections or meetings and whatnot. On the weekends and at night, if I only have 1 extra person hanging at the station, I'll come in. I know Chief Picklets has come in to take second calls, but it doesn't always help. We don't have the call personnel anymore that we used to have years ago. I think I have 10 on the roster and maybe 1 or 2 that are active, that are coming out. I've been trying to get some more people in the call department, but it's a huge commitment for someone to be in the call department nowadays. If you go out on an ambulance call and you're looking at least 2 hours to be committed. You go out on an ambulance call at midnight, you're looking at coming back at 2, getting up, and I don't know what time you guys get up in the morning to go to work, but I get up at 5, so I wouldn't want to be going to an office job or another type of job that I've been out on an ambulance call for 2 hours. I wouldn't be able to function the next day. For me, it's like I can get up and do it and just come to work and just continue my day, but it's getting hard, and everybody trying to keep up the certifications that they have to maintain. Every 2 years you have to recert for medical, and firefighting is continuous training all the time with family commitments and work. It's hard to maintain a call department. So.
With that, we'll
No, just a minute. I want to thank you for your time. I went up and visited today and took a tour of the fire department. So anybody is welcome to go up at any time, or just give them a call if you want to see what there is for equipment. It's worth your while to take a trip in there to see what we've got.
I mean, we're there 7 days a week unless we're on calls. So even my guys on shift would gladly go through the department with you and go over any questions you have about apparatus, the calls they do. They would gladly answer any of those questions. So if you can't get there on a weekday when myself and the chief are there, by all means, weekends, nights, they're there.
What is a good intent call?
We get called for, say, a building fire, and it ends up being a flash in a window, and this is a true thing. You go to something, they think the house is on fire, and it could be lights flashing from a Christmas tree or something like that, so that's a good intent call.
All right.
It was some for Halloween. Yeah.
The
one had
VFW
some.
did it. It was the VFW.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was just
Okay.
one off the top of my head, but that, yeah, we have numerous.
Okay, I didn't know there was a name for that. We have been on the opposite end of that once. We got called to the market basket at night for it to be for a fire with the entire Tilton Fire Department, and it was too cold, and it was just the, yep.
Oh, yeah, I've been called for houses
There
that.
was no good
first thing
intent
in the morning,
there.
they do start to come off the roof
Okay.
and people calling building fires.
What's the difference between mutual aid and automatic aid?
So automatic aid is when, if you have a confirmed building fire, we get towed out for a building fire, we have automatic pieces that get sent from other towns. Mutual aid is when I end up calling, or we can't staff that second ambulance, and then they get sent. And it goes both ways, we get mutual aid received, mutual aid given, and there's automatic received, automatic given. Every type of building fire has an alarm response, so depending on how many alarms we've gone to, is how many extra trucks get brought in automatically.
That was gonna be my next question, is your mutual aid calls are up, and I assume when you say mutual aid, that's other towns calling you for mutual aid, correct?
It could go either way,
Oh, okay.
because it should be
broken down mutual aid.
Oh, okay, I'm not
given,
looking in the right place.
received.
Okay, and
Yeah, but-
signed, all right, okay.
So, there is mutually given, there's mutually received, and it's automatic, and it's, like I said, mutually automatic aid received is if we have, we get called, like last night, for instance, we got called for building fire, and we got Laconia, Gilmington, and Loudon.
Yeah.
Automatic.
And I guess why I was asking that question is that if the mutual aid is up, is it due to, other departments not being fully staffed and needing to call, or it's just, people are just burning things out?
Every department's been very busy, and we've gone into Laconia, another department, Gilmington, we go into a lot. So, this past week, I think we've been to Laconia, half a dozen plus times.
So, so you have to go into Laconia, Laconia doesn't have enough staff?
Not, well, when they have a building fire,
Okay.
everybody goes, that's
Yeah.
got nothing to do with,
All right.
Manchester has a building fire.
Yeah, everybody, Bedford, whatever goes.
Yeah, so that's a whole different story.
You have to cover it once in a while, right?
And they have to
And we go in and cover, station covers and stuff, and that's all considered the mutual aid.
But you're right. Because volunteerism is way down, and you only have so many people on. This past weekend, there was a lot of brush fires. There was one on an island, and they couldn't get boats, and it was all, so they have to go out further than just doing the regular first responders. They have to reach out to get people from away, further than what they know. And then if they have something,
I know, that's the
then it's,
scary part.
then it's helter-skelter, yeah.
We were actually on standby 2 weeks ago for, that was past Monday before, for Malden, I think it was. For their brush, Malden.
Milton?
Malden.
Was it Malden or Milton?
No, it wasn't Milton. It was, no, it was down over by, Keene.
Yeah, that was Milton, I think, Milton. I don't
Milton,
know.
that was over.
Milton's over by Rochester. It was-
I know, I looked it up.
Either way,
Milton's.
we were actually on standby for that because they were trying to get task force teams and crews to head over there.
That's what I don't understand. Where's our, Forest Service people? Don't they have fire people for the
The
Forest
rangers?
Service?
They just
There's
have,
not that many
no,
rangers.
it's not, there's like one ranger per
Whatever.
county.
But they
Yeah.
can't call teams in from other places when this happens?
Yeah, they call it basically the fire department.
No,
Right.
it all falls back
To the
on
fire departments,
on the
yeah.
town. All falls back on the taxpayers.
On the towns and,
In another life, I worked for that state department, and when the ranger would go out west, but everybody that went with him were from surrounding
Right.
towns that
Yeah.
sent people.
Yeah.
I'll take a motion for discussion.
I move for discussion, line item 01-4220-101 through 01-4220-119.
Down to 119.
Second?
Thank you, discussion. First off, I'll say a thank you. I know that 4 of these calls I've been present for. Tree on the house was not fun. But 3 of them recently for my elderly mother, without details. All young men, younger than her grandsons, very professional. They did a great job.
Is it typical that we give a lot more aid than receive? And all these things, it looks like the number's a lot higher in terms of mutual aid given and automatic aid given. Is that typical?
it could be typical, it depends on what's going on. Like I said, we've had a lot of second calls not get handled, but, because we didn't have the crew up to handle them, for second med calls, and we had to bring in the Foley or Tilton, Gilmington, and take those second calls. Second ambulances are needed, and we just can't get them out, or building fires come in, and that's when we take them in too, so building fires are probably one of the biggest things, second to, ambulance calls.
Do we use any volunteers?
We do have a couple call people, I have 10 people on the list and probably 2 people that sporadically come out.
What do the volunteers do? Are they just going out and fighting fires? Do they have to have special training?
I have, of that call list, I've got 2 paramedics on the list, so one strictly only does paramedicine, basically, medical. but he's been so busy lately, I haven't seen him in a little bit. And the other one, I haven't seen them in a while, so I'm actually gonna, go through the list this January and see what their intentions are. They're just sitting on the list at this point.
Do you have any live-ins from the folk school?
At COVID, we kind of dissolved that, or it stopped, and then when we brought on the extra people, we didn't have extra room in the bedrooms for them. We never brought them back. I do have one kid who's actually been riding with us from the tech school. He's joined our call department, and he comes up every day after class, hangs out, he runs calls with us.
I met him. He looks like he's about 12. It's a sign of age.
Yep, welcome to my world.
Do you have any other trainees with you right now?
We have one probationary firefighter that, he's our last probationary firefighter for now. And he's actually his grandfather was, not this chief, but he was a chief.
Easy.
One of the other guys that was a chief of Belmont was his grandfather. So he's kind of following his footsteps, and so he's running through probation with us right now, and he's doing very well.
So, looking at line 114, I'm sure there's a reason why. Was that vacant for a little while between?
Murphy retired.
Yeah.
Well, so.
I guess my concern is that or question is because it looks like the job the young man left paid more money than the one he went into.
So yes, Murphy, when he left, had been right there for like 30 years, so he was making more money.
And the one that the lieutenant,
So the lieutenant that got promoted into that,
yeah,
because of contracts, went to a lower amount.
yeah, he didn't, okay.
Yes.
That's what it looked like. I thought maybe there was an explanation that maybe he went somewhere else, so his promotion cost him money.
Well, no, his promotion, he got promoted up, but he didn't get the same amount that the lieutenant retired out at.
No, but if I look up at the position that was his, cause it's noted on here,
Right. No, he still took an increase. He went from,
Yeah, it looks like you took a $10,000.
here looks like he took a
decrease.
$10,000 decrease. If you look at 109,
Yeah,
yeah, but then he went down to lieutenant, and he is now 66.
nope, he's the one below that. He went from 66.7
Great.
to 56.3.
Unless,
What are you looking at, 114?
no, I see.
109, look at 109.
109.
109.
And then look at 114. Other than the fact that he hasn't been in that position for the full.
He's only been there since.
Yeah.
So that, I was wondering if that was part of it.
Mhm.
I just wanted to make sure make sure our numbers were good, because that it looked like it probably should be closer to at least what he was leaving than $10,000 less.
But he won't be in that.
So Ryan was 56. I'm sorry, where are we now? He's at 48.
66.
He's at 48,
Yep, and then,
but the person going into that job's gonna get 66.
no. Now he's down, now he's a lieutenant, which he's gonna get, he's getting 57, he's getting 57,155 now. He'll go up to 66.
Yeah,
But
Murphy,
he's right.
yeah, Murphy was at 79, so then obviously he's not gonna get the same, Ryan's
Right.
not gonna get the same, so.
But my number says, right, I've got a straight line here. It says 54,769 was the actual, then the requested was 56. And then the position he came from up here says 66.
So that would be, the 66
Am I
is
seeing
not,
Ours are probably fixed.
it's probably
Fixed the issue at.
where this Karula,
So,
maybe
okay,
that
so
it's
let's
him.
look at
You know what I mean?
line, what should line
Where'd Karula come from?
109 be?
Yeah, what should,
109, the default numbers, that's what we're looking at, is that default number,
So-
which is,
No,
No, I was even looking at
Or
the,
just look at the
even
zoning.
looking at the select boards
Sure.
compared
Under
to.
actual, for the selectmen
I was looking at the
recommendation
selectmen
for 25.
recommendation of 109
Yep,
is 66,774. That's where Ryan came out of.
Yeah, but
it
you
should, it should be 56,346.
And he went into a 56,746.
That
Those
is
are
reversed.
reversed.
Oh, well.
They're fixed on hours,
So they, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
So the bottom line stays the same.
Yeah, bottom line
I
says
figured
the
that
same.
out.
It
That's
was-
the other way
Those are
around.
names are backwards.
Oh, I see, it's the other way around.
But,
I see.
yeah,
66,
I'm
I
not-
totally
56.
understand Ryan making less than Murphy, cause he had been maxed out, but
Yeah.
for somebody to take
But no, he didn't
on
take
more
it, but,
responsibility for 10 grand
no,
less a
no,
year.
he basically took a 10 grand cut, in a sense.
Do we need to make a motion, Colleen, to amend those two, or, cause that's not what we have?
Well, you guys only really are moving a bottom line budget anyway, these are just
Worksheets.
worksheets
Okay.
essentially, so you don't
All
really
right.
need to worry about that.
Fine, I'm good with that. Thank you, sorry.
No problem.
How long has the assistant chief been employed?
He started in January, this past January, for this department.
He requested a $25,000 pay increase in his salary. Did I read that right? And go from 65 to 90 and change. Line item
Oh,
108. The actual for this year is 65,375.31, and you're requesting 90,000.
I've got, is that another one that's wrong?
No, that's the actual to date spend.
to date, so that was
Oh,
back in
okay.
October, it's probably the new number now, Alicia?
His actual to date is 70,404, his budgeted number was 87.
Alright. Sorry, just gonna try to.
Still have months.
A month and a half,
You're
month
fine.
and 2 weeks, 6 weeks right now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Not so.
Yeah, make it easier. Thanks.
Feel better?
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, approved.
No, we were still, did you leave while I was still confused?
Yeah.
These two numbers here. On the Ryan one, they should be switched, 66 should be down here and 58
Oh.
should be up here.
Okay.
We figured it out.
So when I'm looking up under the narrative, it says administrative step, and there's requested, what is the difference there?
Basically, that requested an increase for both herself and for the deputy chief. The select board unanimously did not support that. So basically, we're recommending the step.
The administrative step is every April, if the budget passes, every employee, if the board allows, every employee goes on the next step of the scale, so that's what the administrative step would be, that is their natural progression next year, stepping on the scale.
Oh, it goes in April, not on anybody's anniversary date?
No, because
Town
budget,
meeting has to go,
it all has to be, yeah.
Stay still went by your anniversary date.
then you would be stuck back paying people, because
True.
you
You wouldn't have the
Sure.
funds, you wouldn't have.
Okay.
And at some point, I wanna try to start working on the administrative pay to get us comparable to other departments around this.
Well,
Probably be in the near future.
we would all like that.
And why are the two positions requested in 2025, they're in red, are those just the new positions?
yes, they were new positions,
Where?
half year that you and I talked about, or no?
Don't see that number on my
It's
page.
revised.
Okay.
We have autumn here.
Gotcha.
So you probably see 186,
Yes.
008.
Yes.
So my new total with
All the
adjusting,
changes with the insurance
with the
and stuff.
insurance and everything that came after these were printed,
Yeah.
Would be 193.
193, 390, 51.
Now, is that a full year, or, so, after I got thinking about this whole thing, in theory, this wouldn't even start till July, so it would be a half-year budget.
But I still think it's appropriate that they see what a total impact would be
Right,
for the future,
next-
because you're not
yes,
gonna just hire someone for half a year and then take them away. So
No.
they need to see what
No, I get
future
it,
impacts to the
but
budget would be.
at least it wouldn't be a, basically $193,000 impact. Right away, we would be, it would be the half of that this year. Next year, we would be bringing it up to the full 193 and some.
Might as well.
And those two new positions were to get you to the, having the 4 people on.
4 people across the board.
So what's before us as a budget committee for the new folks is we are, you know how we keep saying per the selectmen's recommendation, that's where that's our starting point here, is what the selectmen have brought to us. My question, we still have one vacant position,
We do.
and is that the one that's funded by a grant?
The
So,
last 2 positions are always funded with a grant, but
and that, so when does that grant end?
it's supposed to be 26, 3 of 26. It's gonna be past that, just because we started it late, and there's been a couple times it hasn't been full.
So in order to keep that position, though, that would fall back on the taxpayers after 26.
Oh, what-
That's a
So
little
in
much.
theory,
That's a little.
in theory, at this point then, I don't wanna lose the 2 positions, but and I'd like to continue to increase to 4. If I start working on trying to keep the 2 grant positions, this would keep those 2 people right off the bat. Instead of coming up to you and the grant expires, and then starting to try to fill that position with the 2 and hold on to 2 people.
My mind's trying to catch up on that, hold on.
So in
Did everybody else get that?
No.
In 2026, when the grant, let's just say, expires,
Mm-hmm.
the Board of Selectmen will have to make a decision whether they keep those 2 grant positions or they get rid of those 2 grant positions, because it will no longer be fully funded by the grant. So in theory, you've got what the cost of the 2 firefighters would be, so they would be increasing the budget in those figures, let's just say 195 or 193 there, in year 26. If you add 2 more this year or next year or the year after, you're gonna also add another 200,000.
Yeah,
I think the other thing, and the police do the same, I've seen this with the grant. The grants cover the salary. It does not cover the health insurance, the benefits.
This one does for the
It
fire.
It does,
yes.
Just not
And
overtime.
retirement.
Like
No.
uniforms and equipment and all
Oh,
of
no,
that?
that's
That's
on
the
us.
retirement portion?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it, you know, I mean, and believe me, I'm all for grants, but sometimes they.
That can be misleading.
It can very,
Yeah.
it can be misleading and it can kind of come back at you. I've seen that in the past. You know,
So,
we think, oh, we've got such a great deal. I mean, obviously, as a taxpayer, oh, we've got 2 positions, it's gonna be free. There's nothing
for 2 years.
Right, and
Right.
you still
But
have
she's
things
also
that
asking
divide
for,
you.
she's also asking for
Two
2
grants.
new more people. And we are on a default budget, I'm sorry, but
This, I'm sorry to
I missed
interrupt.
what you said.
you understand what I'm saying?
I know, I missed totally what you said.
Oh,
so
what I
asking.
said is that you have 2 people through this grant.
Yeah.
We're gonna be paying we certainly wouldn't welcome them out the door once you have them for 2 years, where they've become part of the department. But right now, we are on a default budget, and we're gonna go to the town, and we're gonna ask for this, but you're gonna ask for 2 more people. I think that's a little much to ask of the people, where we're on a default budget as it is. I mean, I understand your position in wanting to have a full crew, but, it's just thinking as a taxpayer in this town, that's a little much. That's all.
Well, the thing,
Yeah, I mean,
well, the thing is with the grant, they give you the grant to get you the people, right? Because they're assuming that they're gonna be there after
And you're
that.
gonna keep them.
Yeah.
And then if you can't afford it, then, you know, it's tough on the individual. They think that they've got a good job and then, it all dried up, see you later, you know, like the resource officers at the schools and stuff, you know, it's the game that they play. They want you to add, and I understand you need to help, obviously, but,
But then it all floats back down to the taxpayers again.
That's right.
Eventually it does,
You know.
yeah.
well, like I
It's
said,
hard.
like retirement, like they said, they used to pay 35% of it.
Yeah.
Now they don't pay
It is
anything.
hard.
You were gonna say something when we,
I understand it falls back on the taxpayers, but we're looking at this as a safety thing as well. We kicked off the beginning of the summer with a building fire every other week. And you got 3 people showing up to these things, you know, and it's utter chaos, but like, they're professionals and they go to work. There's 3 to 4 people, depending on what shift is there, at a building fire, and you're hoping that mutual aid isn't already exhausted with their own town to come. So we're looking at this also as a safety thing for our own people too.
It's kinda like,
How much do we pay a year for mutual aid?
85,000 change. Well, no, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that, Ruth. We pay the $85,000 to dispatch, so
Right.
that pays for them to maintain this. We're not paying for these other towns to
No,
come to
I
us.
understand. But there is an expense, obviously.
There is an
but-
expense for
To be
for
part of a
dispatch.
member.
Mhm.
But it is not an expense for mutual aid. But just as much as they're coming into us, we're coming into them. But their numbers are rising just as fast as our numbers. We can't make or break our calls. Our calls are rising because of accidents, building fires,
More
sick people. People are getting older.
more people.
Building is going up like crazy in this town. So, you know, we can only answer so many calls at once, and we're trying to answer them the best we can. I mean, basically, we're an insurance policy. You have insurance on your car, correct? How many accidents have you been in? None?
Don't say that, because I'll say it's an accident. Don't you jinx me. No, but, no, I,
Something like that.
I
So
understand that, and I
that's-
see that there has been other towns, I don't know that, I haven't noticed it with Belmont, I've seen other towns, there's been an accident, and they can't even get a second ambulance, because we are an aging population statewide.
My concern is the town of Belmont.
Mhm.
I know not the other towns that can't get their trucks out.
Well, and that's, because
We're
obviously,
aging.
yeah,
That's right.
I know
that's
what
my
the story will
concern
be.
too.
That's what my
Mhm.
concern is.
Sit between you two.
This town is taken care of, not the other towns.
So, chief, if you lost them,
Good
For
for
anybody
you
to get
I
to.
just,
how does that impact your employment, like your other guys? How many guys are you gonna
We'll
run
have 3 people across the board on shift.
on every shift?
Every shift will have just 3.
So,
We'll basically handle 1 call at a time,
okay.
and manpower from there. Like I said, I really do not have a call department, so I can't depend on that. We can do recalls for when they go to Concord Hospital. I mean, like I said, if we're out on a call, we're probably out for about 2 hours, on a medical call,
Yep.
and that's average.
And I'm pretty sure years past, you guys were running 2 guys per shift at one time.
Oh, yeah, and that's when they were doing even less
I
calls.
want you guys to think about this, if you were a fireman, and Tyke can probably help me out. So, say you get a building fire, and there's 2 of you on an engine, right? And there's somebody trapped. So, you're not just gonna send 1 guy in to find that trapped person, 2 of you gotta go into that building. And you better just pray your mutual aid is right behind you, because you only have what? Maybe 5 to 10 minutes worth of water in that engine, if you're
Less
lucky.
than that,
Yeah. So, I mean,
less
that's,
than that.
to me, it's about safety, you know?
So when you call a recall,
Mhm.
they come in as a overtime, right?
Correct.
So you're paying time and a half, or whatever it is, for that, to cover the station.
To come in and cover, to take it, that's if we have a second call. I don't call a recall just because of primary ambulance, unless they go to Concord.
But then, if you've only got 3 people there, you've got 2 on the ambulance, you have 1 person,
One left behind.
and if there's another call that comes in, you're not gonna respond with 1 person.
Correct, that's when they'll call and usually it's the lieutenant that's behind, what he'll end up doing is responding to the call. If nobody else shows up for it, we have a board that, computerized board now that'll show who's coming to the call. Nobody shows up for it, and he has to call mutual aid. Meantime, he's sitting there with a patient that could be critical, could be not critical, but he's there by himself, and you can't treat or transport. You can treat them, but you can't transport a patient by yourself. You have to have two people, and they have to be licensed EMTs.
But what I'm getting at is, if you, towards the end of the year, you look at all the overtime you got in there, probably is more money than what you'd have to spend to have another firefighter.
Yes, the overtime would be, would decrease if I could have, if I had.
No, I understand it, but what I'm saying, that the cost difference.
Yes,
So when you,
so if I was, I could bring my recalls back. I wouldn't have to have as many recalls when we have to have 2 ambulances going out. I could just have the 4 people, 2 take one ambulance, 2 take the other ambulance, or 2 go on the engine, whatever the case may be. But I would have those people that I wouldn't have to call a recall for multiple calls.
So just for layman's terms, recall?
Oh, calling in, putting a tone out for those that are off duty to come in, station coverage, or to show up.
And
on
we're
the
calling
scene.
back in ours on
Yes.
overtime?
Yes.
and what's the minimum?
Well, the minimum's an hour, but it's then based on
On the call.
the call.
What 2 positions on here are the grant funded ones?
They're not on here.
They're not on here at all. So, thank you. So my question was gonna be, do we still have one of those vacant?
It went vacant back when Lieutenant Murphy retired, we promoted
Okay.
Tom Ryan. So it's only been about a little over a month or 2 that we've posted it. So we've got someone we're gonna be interviewing. I'm hoping the interview's closed by Friday. So I'm hoping by next week we will be making an offer.
So the selectmen denied the request. So that means if you wanted to change that, you'd have to make a motion to change those 2 line items.
Would it be any possibility of just one person this year, one person next year until, I mean, that would be, well, 2026.
Well, the one, the
What
next
would-
year would be, there's 2 coming off of grants at that time. So then you would have 3.
Kind of working in even numbers with staffing in the fire service is a little bit better because you always have to have 2 on an ambulance, no matter what, plain and simple. Unless it's a critical patient, then you have more than that on the ambulance. But the ambulance cannot run without 2 licensed attendants. So that's why, like right now, I've got 2 shifts that are 4.
Mhm.
It's great. And then I got 2 shifts that are 3. And that's when, like I said, I come in on the weekends. I come in on my nights off to make up that next person because I don't always get people that. I'm salary, so it really doesn't affect anything.
Mhm.
But, you know, and the same thing with Chief Pickles, we come in and try to offset that, but.
I'm just trying to
You
work
know,
both sides. I
No, I
understand
get it.
the increase in
I-
budget, we're in the default, but
No,
I
yeah,
also see
yeah.
the safety
So
needs.
Right.
if you fill
So
the
I
grant
understand it
position,
too.
that
I'm
means
such a
you'll
shit.
only have 1 shift with 3, because you'll
No, I'll
have
have-
3 shifts with 4.
2.5, so they
Huh?
want 2.5.
You know, right now I
So
have,
this is
in
what they
theory,
Oh, in theory.
I should have 2 shifts with 4 and 2 shifts with 3.
Mhm.
When I fill this shift, I will have 2 shifts of 4 and 2 shifts of 3.
If you feel it with these asked 2
Oh,
positions.
No.
No,
the grant-
grant.
Fill the grant one.
I fill the grant position.
So the grant one isn't on our sheet, just to be clear, there's
Right.
2 more.
So,
Just had to count.
run down what the shifts look like.
So basically, in theory, let's
Yep.
just say in theory, you run, how many shifts?
We have 4 shifts.
Okay, 4.
Yep.
So that obviously, probably during the
6
day,
hour shifts.
you probably run 3 because you guys, one or the other is in the station, correct? And you're covering that, being the 4th person?
So
No, I'm not, right,
there's 4 people, so we run 4 shifts. There's 4 groups, or however you wanna call it,
like in 24 hours?
that work 24-hour shifts.
Okay.
They work 24 on, 3 days off, 24 on, and that's pretty much average across the board in other departments. That work that same type of rotation, similar rotation. For instance, Group one, I have a lieutenant and 2 firefighters that are at the station during the day, 24 hours, and they handle the calls as they come in. Group two, I have 3 firefighters and a lieutenant, so that's 4 people. And they do the same thing that group one is doing, however, they can go out on 2 calls if they need to. Or if they have a building fire, all 4 of them are on the engine, and now I have an attack crew with a line officer. Because in theory, you should have 2 people to be able to go into the building and 2 people outside the building, and that's NFPA safety regulations, 2 in, 2 out. Something happens, the people outside can then pull those firefighters out until more firefighters get there. And those are the times, that's the worst part of the building fires when we first get there and open up the building. Group 3, I have 4 people on that shift, 3 firefighters, 1 lieutenant. Group 4, I have 3 people on it, 2 firefighters and 1 lieutenant. What I would like to ultimately have by the time I retire is all 4 across the board at 4. It's a huge safety aspect. It will help mitigate some overtime because it'll drop my callback back. It'll drop my callback down for overtime coverage. And fire-wise, safetiness, we're gonna have those people there to work with each other, getting, if we have a problem on a call. If medical calls, we can get 2 ambulances out and about and running, and myself and the chief, if we need to go out and assist with manpower, we can, but then we can also take care of our duties. We have tons of inspections that we work through all the time, every day we're out doing inspections, with all the developments coming up. So that's where I'd really like to see this, is to have 4 across the board.
So this is just another question, and obviously it hasn't even been moved, but if you were to receive those 2 positions, then we can, obviously decrease overtime by what, 80%?
Thank you, that was gonna be my question also, cause on your budget, chief, I see that your overtime was the same as the select board's overtime, which is in line with 20 and 24, so if we were looking to see what the,
So,
I guess,
Yes.
I would have expected to see that number go down a great
I can
deal.
probably drop it back down to basically the default number of 110. The problem is I haven't had these numbers, I haven't had these coverage, so I've been filling these overtimes. Right now, cause I'm down to 1 person and I also have someone out on light duty doing the maternity, that's kinda throwing a monkey's wrench into my overtime. And that will go on probably till April, that part of it. Actually, it's going from April a little bit past.
So, I don't mean to sound like $20,000 isn't a lot of money,
No,
but when we're looking at $130,000 in overtime, by hiring 2 full-time people, we're only gonna save $20,000 in overtime? Or hiring 3, cause we're gonna fill the one that's empty and then 2 more?
Well, the one that empty should, it's not really empty, I mean, it's
No, but it's
empty,
causing you a little overtime probably, I get that.
Well, they,
Okay.
but yeah.
But when you get 2 more full-timers, I would, you know, if you were offering me $20,000, I'm not gonna say no. But to me, I need a bigger savings out of the overtime to justify almost $200,000 for 2 people. Because I don't know about the other people, especially like the 2 that sit to my right that have been doing this forever. People do come up to me and ask specific questions, how do you see this? And 220 is a big difference.
On these new hires, we have to pay for all the
Somebody go.
retirement plus training plus all the other things. that go with
Maintaining
it.
the training, yes.
Yeah, so,
Clothing and everything else.
so it's actually a lot more than that $54,000.
Well, and maintaining training, yes. We keep-
Well, that and, you know, all the benefits they're gonna get.
Alright, I don't usually share my straight-out opinions.
We pay for our call department that I don't have right now. We pay for those, and that's why I'm gonna hopefully bring that down, and I'm looking to actually bring that line from 30,000 to 15.
You know, and I understand, you're saving lives all the time, and we need it, and the population is growing, and it's growing older, and there's more calls for service, and people call for fish hooking their finger or some stupid thing. But that's the problem. People don't know how to take care of themselves or put a Band-Aid on. They wanna call for an ambulance, and that's part of the society we live in today. They expect the town is gonna do, the government's gonna do everything for them, so, anyway, that's my
Like I
opinion.
said, we're insurance policy.
Well,
You may use us, you may never use us, and those that are out there,
they've always used this.
well, those that are out there that haven't used it, that's,
So next year in 2026, we're gonna see a request for two on here already.
Yes.
But there are two that are already working.
Yeah, but we don't pay for.
we don't pay for them now.
Not yet.
We don't, the taxpayers don't pay for them at all,
There's no other.
correct?
There's no other grants you're
We
gonna
gotta
apply
move
for
on.
or to extend those,
They
I
may
could put-
extend it because I believe we were late
Right,
to
which is-
hiring, so
Okay,
if
well,
there's
we
funds at the end of the year, some of these
Well, I'm
grants
not
have
taking
been allowing us to extend if there's like a no coverage.
Yeah, I'll be able to extend it, because we did start very late into this, but,
yeah, eventually it's gonna.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
no different than their grants that they've got for the teacher, the, school resource officer and stuff. That grant will run out and that'll be done, unless the town votes to pick up that.
All right. Any further discussion on this portion? All those in favor? 101 through 119, as listed from the select board? All right, we'll try again.
No, yeah, say
All
that
those
again.
in favor, what was moved was item 101 through 119. We need to vote on those before we can move on to talking about the rest of the budget that we haven't done. We had already had that, that's been on there, so all those in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? So moved. I'll take another motion.
Move to, for discussion, line item 01-4220-120 through 01-4220-295.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
On 201, which is station repair, one of the things that I did today toured the building and saw what the needs were for that building. And it's not good news. I know when Tyke and all his volunteers built the building, on a budget, and they didn't, they did the best they could with what they had. But when I went up into the attic to look at the truss work, there's some serious problems up there. Because on the south end, gable end, if you go and you sight the building, the top part is starting to tip out a little bit. I'm sure they didn't have money enough, but they never put enough bracing in the truss work. When you have a tall truss, say like this one here, and I did, so my experience is, I did Southwick School, and it's all wood roof, and it takes a lot of bracing and a lot of block work. So if you have a 2x4 truss and you have a 2x4 stud in it, sometimes you have to put a T on to stiffen that up, because the pressure of the weight of the roof keep it from buckling. So that needs a lot to be done. And where the main roof over the apparatus floor goes out over the living area, they splice the two tops of the truss on the top cord together, but they never put any fire blocking or firewalls. There's no firewalls up there. So it's all wide open. So if there's a fire in one section, there's nothing to stop that fire from going the whole length of the
Well,
building.
and obviously putting the metal roof on it didn't help probably.
No, actually, it helped.
How does it help?
Because-
There was that issue with metal roofs.
Let me finish. Reason why it helps is because the snow slides off, you don't have all that weight up there. If that was still a shingled roof, you'd have the weight of all of that plus the weight of the snow, you could have a serious collapse. So those are the things, what you're gonna have to do is hire an engineer to come in and find out what it's gonna cost to brace that roof up the way it should be. My idea would be on the south gable end, is cut a hole up above there so you have access to get up and, do all of that work. And there's a lacking of insulation, there's only a little bit of insulation.
Well, again, as you're aware, the, what's the account?
Municipal
The municipal-
facilities capital reserve.
Yeah, failed. Nobody put it, that failed.
That doesn't make the problem go away.
That most certainly doesn't.
So what I'm saying is you got,
Right, so we need to get voters out there to vote for this.
well, you got people living in there, sleeping there at night, that there could be a problem. If, for some reason, there's a sprinkler system up there, whether it's adequate enough to cover everything, but I just want you to be aware that someday you're gonna have to face that. And the walls, when they built them, they laid them dry, and then filled up the cores every 4 feet with a rod and some concrete, I'm assuming. So these walls need to have a pilaster braced up on the ends of the building.
Also needs some steel
So,
inside also.
what I'm looking at is probably $200,000 or better to repair that building so that, I mean, it's lasted all these years, but it's getting tired, and the good thing is that the snow slides off the roof. Otherwise, but you've got people living in the building, so. That was my observation today. I was shocked when I looked up there, because,
You can see it from the outside, Ron, you can just, when you drive by,
I know,
well, I can still.
but it's a lot worse when you go up there and look at it.
Yeah.
When I started, I brought that to the board's attention and,
Yep.
yeah.
So that everybody understands that that's gonna be an issue at some point. That's gonna either have to be repaired or replaced, or whatever. I'm not gonna be around to see it, but anyway, that's what I saw, and you can hire an engineer to look at it and come up
We
with
ain't
it.
gonna have nothing to do with it.
You did good, kid, but it's been there, what, over 30 years, so,
For a long time.
yeah. Yeah, it was done with volunteers. But
Yep.
at that time, people weren't living there, like today they are, so.
Well, we did it for $168,000.
Yeah.
The architect came in with a price of 1.2 million.
Yeah, and the problem is that not enough bracing in that roof. So that's gonna have to get addressed sooner than later. All right, give him the good news, right?
Okay, now, there's a good news, Ron.
Alicia, I have a question about the buyback line, the, line 176, the, narrative.
Oh, the vacation buyback?
Yeah.
So per our personnel policy, every employee who has the time on the books is entitled to buy back at least
Yeah.
up to 1 week's worth of vacation.
Okay.
So I put that 39,000 is the max exposure.
Mhm.
As you can see from the actual, not every single employee takes
Okay.
it.
All right.
So far to date, we've only expended 6,000. I think budgeting for the max is too much, because I know people are now, especially that we have a younger generation, they're taking more of their
Yeah.
vacation, so that's just what that is.
That's what I thought,
Bringing
but
it
I just
down
wanted to,
to-
yeah. And do we probably see a little bit more of that buyback at the end of the year?
Yes, because they're either realizing, oh crap, I didn't take a, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't take a vacation, so I'm
Could've been
gonna,
worse.
I'm either gonna lose it or I'll get paid.
Thank
out.
you.
But we try to encourage everyone to take their 2 weeks of vacation or 3 weeks or whatever they've got on the books versus the buyout. But there are some employees, and you'll see it maybe more with administrative staff who are overworked and can't get away for vacation, so.
Are they allowed to roll any vacation over?
Every employee is allowed to roll over up to 2 weeks.
So when they were on vacation, you're really short for coverage, right?
We fill it with overtime.
Hmm?
We fill it with overtime.
So you have other people come in, or people work double shifts, or what?
The full-timers, yeah.
So in every department that has employees with that, benefit, we kind of take the actual, kind of get a feel of where we're actually spending for that vacation buyback, and that's how I kind of budget that number.
And the service contracts is where the mutual aid amount would be, right?
Correct. And that new number, and I don't, is it updated on your sheet?
No, I don't think, it's not updated on mine.
So on my sheet, the mutual aid for 25 is $84,067.
84,067.
84,067.
Yep.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Take a new motion?
I move to, for discussion, line item 01-4220-296 through 01-4220-999.
Discussion? Physicals annually for you folks, or just for the new hires?
No, annually, pay required for firefighters.
Since you have, where did you end your opening to, what number, I'm sorry?
The end.
The whole
The
thing,
end,
yeah.
okay. I do have changes due to the health insurance, the life insurance, and the dental, due to these were printed, before the open enrollment closed.
Okay,
So line 314.
Yep.
The health insurance, that new number is 285,451.
okay.
And line 316, the life and short-term disability is now 4,573. And the dental, line 319, is now 11,888.
So,
Brings your bottom new total to 2,374,155.
thank you. Increase due to the different plans offered.
Different plans offered and, either employees changing plans or adding family, deducting family, but obviously adding family.
But there was a 16% increase.
Yeah.
On top of that.
I know that you, like with qualifying events, you can usually add and reduce.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
mother of
what-
26-year-old this year, you know?
Yes,
They're
you get to
getting
get
ready
them
to,
off, right,
yeah, right.
exactly, yep, and that's what we had, for open enrollment, which closed
Okay.
on November 8th, I
Okay.
believe. So that's when, employees can change, their plans based on the new rates and or add family or take. We've had some, marriages this year, we've had some, we will have some additions to families next year. For the health insurance and those coverages, I take it as, I budget for the employees I have now.
Mhm.
If I have open spots, we go middle of the way,
Yep.
because, if I budgeted for a family plan and I get a single person, I've over budgeted, if I, or vice versa, so we'll budget vacant positions at a 2-person plan, so that if you're under or over, you're at least middle of the road with your budgeting.
Pretty close, thank you.
So will the selectmen relook at this with the new figures that you have then at some point? or-
Yes, you met before they did, so they will look at this again, tomorrow, but they've approved these with the notion that there was still open enrollment changes.
Vehicle repairs, 75,000, the selectmen recommend. Is, the town mechanic not doing the fire department's vehicles anymore, or?
We've been told that, and, he's gone. We've been told by the town, and basically by Craig, that they really can't handle the size trucks we have, and they're too busy with their own stuff. And some of the newer equipment that's on the fire trucks now, we have to take back to where we bought them. because of that, just because of lack of maintenance. Plain and simple.
Lack of maintenance in the past.
Yes, in the past, yes.
So funny story. The first time the guys came to transport my mom, the striker thing didn't work on the ambulance that had just come back.
Yeah,
And they looked at me, of course, again, they're younger than my kids, they're like, I'm glad you witnessed that. It was just a battery, they said.
Yeah, we had the battery replaced.
And she
Second
still got
battery.
safely in there.
Oh,
but-
yeah, they're made to operate manually, they're just,
I said, look, at least she's lightweight.
Well, the new generation, they want the batteries to work, right?
well, let me tell you.
It saves injuries.
Yeah,
I remember when we voted to get those, actually.
That, line 707 was
Yep.
increased, as you can see by the Board of Selectmen, due to them realizing, you know, the need, to catch up on vehicles that have fallen into
disarray.
disarray. And we also, so the little colorful box, to the bottom.
Yep.
Is the warrant article that we place on the ballot with the funds to come from the ambulance special revenue. So what they did was, they increased the budget, but they also increased how much we take from that warrant article to offset that cost.
Okay.
So you'll see in the
Okay.
vehicle repairs and parts, that line went to 33, is it that, was that
Yes.
the line?
33.
Oh, your sheets are different than mine, so the vehicle, no, that is right, yeah, 33.
Yeah, 33.
So out of that 75,000, you're gonna take 33 from the comp staff? Or are you adding that 33 to the 75,000?
It's an offset. So they're not gonna get 75 plus 33. Basically, that 33 minus the 75 from the 33 in theory. So you'll raise and appropriate 75, but you have the offsetting revenue of 33. That isn't being taxed to the residents, taxpayers.
And hopefully, if we can get things in order next year, that will be far less.
Also, also, there were changes to, and I'll let Deb I don't know if you guys wanna discuss this now or later when we get to the capital reserves, but, in that colorful section, there is an extra lease payment that is being proposed as the fire department wants to purchase a new tanker. Yes, and right now we're deciding, how much to put down and then finance, for the monthly lease payments, and those funds will come from the ambulance special revenue. So right now, after crunching the numbers, we're landing on a down payment of $250 to that box, which will be a warrant article. Funds not to come from taxation, will come from the ambulance special revenue account. So that total, instead of that $315, $276 that you'll see, will now be $565, $276. Again, that's just funds coming from the special revenue accounts.
But you only have 428,000 right now.
But it accumulates year to year, so what's spent ebbs and flows throughout the year, each month.
And what determines how much we can charge for the ambulance fees?
Medicare, Medicaid.
So we're limited by that, or we can charge more, but we still.
We can charge more, and I've been getting some figures from other departments to see where they're at. And I'm gonna probably this coming year increase the I mean, it's not gonna be a huge increase, but it'll be a bigger increase, but we still then basically Medicare, Medicaid will dictate what we end up taking in on some stuff. And the insurances don't always pay 100%, it gets, you know, but those that get transported then pay a certain amount to pay off that.
And we've done comparisons with other towns and stuff.
We're not that far
Right.
off from the other towns. We
Okay.
are, like Lithuania just changed theirs up. So I'm probably gonna, then I gotta get Gilmanton's and Guilford's, see where they're at, some of the smaller towns.
I don't know when the town did a evaluation of the rates in a while, but
It's
it is
hasn't been
something
since
that
I've been
I'm
here.
brought to Deb to consider to
Yeah.
increase, cause I'm sure it's been a while.
How's our,
I've been here 5 years and it hasn't been.
how's our collection percentage?
I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but it's fairly decent.
Okay.
Unlike what it was,
When I started on the board,
right, because we changed companies.
I just had a kid
and-
transported and got the check
right,
back.
Huge, huge.
Your
yeah.
insurance companies pay you And then you're supposed to go pay the fire department.
We get checks from, I mean, Becky takes in all this stuff more than I do. We do get the checks from
Insurance
insurance.
And
Mi-
I
Mine
think
pays
they
my,
change-
me.
Well, I think they've changed that. I think you're getting more from the insurance
Yeah.
companies
It probably
now
depends
than
on the
you
insurance
used to.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because when we first started, they were all, and we switched companies about going out to find.
Yeah.
Because I look at payments from patients, but it's after they get their bill then from the in-law or from the company that we use, saying that you owe $100 more, whatever the case may be.
Oh no, we got the check for the whole darn thing.
But the collection group that we have, they receive the checks, right? Everything goes through them.
They should, we do get checks to us though,
Yeah, yeah, but-
and we take them to town hall.
But that's increased tenfold when we changed companies.
That was,
Yeah.
maybe dating myself, it was huge. Any further questions?
Yeah, I've got one in regards to the tanker. Why was it taken out of service to begin with?
Had a crack frame, both sides.
All right, did you get any estimates on what it was gonna cost?
Just for the frame alone, just the frame was gonna be $50,000. And that didn't include trying to get someone to take the tank and the part, the cradle that holds the tank on there had to come off. All the lighting in the back had to come off. This was taking it down to, what was the name of the place we took it in Concord?
I brought it to Londonderry.
Oh, Londonderry.
Yeah.
So,
And they're great folks down there, but they don't wanna see the truck. Like, they want it just the
You just
wanna be able to work on it.
and the cab.
So we also, we talked to the gentleman over here at Lakes Region Truck, he didn't want anything to do with it.
No, they don't do that. Osgood's and Clarence does it, there's a guy in Pittsfield, American something, he does it. There's all
So,
kinds of them.
in talking
Matt
with-
Brown does it.
in talking with the board of selectmen, this truck is a 2001, sorry. It's 23 years old. A truck capacity is usually about 25. NFPA holds a truck to about 20 years, 10 years on the front line, 10 years on the back line. This truck has done its job, and I think back when Tyke bought it, they paid $75,000 for this truck. It was something that initially had been talked about even before I started working on replacing it. I wasn't gonna go that route, and unfortunately, with a cracked frame, reframing a truck that's responding to fire calls with 2,500 gallons of water on it is dangerous. And you're almost putting $100,000 into this truck to reframe a 23-year-old truck that it's time for it to retire.
what did the town receive for, cause I assume it went to auction.
Went to the White Farm.
So what did the town receive?
Change, 20,000,
28,
5.
28,650.
Another issue was if somebody was even willing to tackle it, they wouldn't warranty it. So you'd be putting taxpayers' money at risk even further, hoping that the pump gets reinstalled correctly, and you'd have to bring everything back up to NFPA code, new lighting and new stuff.
At this point, that truck was sold by the company that bought it from the town to another fire department, and that truck is back in service at this time.
I don't know if their rules are different
So,
down there.
I'm just,
I just know where it first went. From there, I didn't follow it. They have disclosure saying that you're as seen as, they know what's wrong with the truck.
Yep.
So if there's someone willing to put that money into it, maybe they don't live in the roads that we live on, these roads are tough.
I'm just, I'm asking questions because
No, I hear you.
the information that I was.
Yeah, no,
So,
I had no idea where it had left after it went to the White Farm. I just knew that we got 20,000 change, so.
Isn't that the one that we had to replace the engine on, or had something matter with the engine?
Yep.
A few years
Yeah, it
ago?
was the Mac, wasn't it? The Mac.
I remember that there was an issue with the engine that the warranty wouldn't cover it or something, and we ended up replacing the engine. This was back a while ago.
That's, I thought it was that truck, I don't think
Yeah.
it's saying no.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, it was that, I don't know, something, they didn't do the right maintenance on it, I don't, as I can remember, that was a while ago, but I remember listening to we had to replace the engine on it, so. Major
Pretty
bites.
sure they found oil, antifreeze in the oil.
I don't know what it was.
I remember talking with like Lieutenant Murphy and stuff, when we were working on this truck this past year, that was the comment, that it had engine work or replaced engine at one point in time, not too long after they bought it.
Yep. All right. Got another one to go, right?
We'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, I said it.
The ayes have it.
So the bottom line was $2,374,155,
Correct.
as recommended by the selectmen.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Good job. I had it ready for you.
14,
We have 14, one thing left, folks, sorry.
emergency management, quick and easy.
14?
14,
Emergency management, used to be civil defense, years ago. Remember that, right? Civil
Oh, yeah.
defense.
Yeah.
I move, 14290,999.
discussion. Anybody want to explain to the new people what it is?
Just explain to the new people what that.
So it's a budget we have for the emergency management, which covers, they had talked earlier about having an EEOC, Emergency Operations Center. Belmont Fire is the Emergency Operations Center, the police department is the second one, so it kind of helps maintain little things that we may use. This year I did upgrade, both the chief and I'm the emergency management director, he's the deputy emergency management director. We updated our iPads that are in our cars under that, so each year I kind of purchased gear before we bought something to move, a flatbed trailer to help move barricades for storms, when we have to close down roads. So it's little things that we do for any major events that we have. So this year we also put money towards the hazard mitigation plan, which was actually a grant, which we will be getting that back.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ayes have it.
So moved, ayes have it.
So, Bruce, that building,
How did you get your new, air system?
Yes, it's all in,
How's it
it's
working?
run, working great.
you should go up and
Go
visit.
down and see it.
Well,
It's with my
We need
notes.
to move this.
I was gonna say-
But I just wanna caution that that's the, command center, if there's serious problem. If there's wind shear or tornado warnings, I wouldn't recommend being in that building. No, it's not funny.
No, but you're right.
I'm serious.
Where would you go in
I don't know
this
where they gotta go, but that building would not take a high wind.
That was
But
good.
where would they go in this town?
Well, then,
Put that in the emergency management plan?
I just put it out there, so, with that bracing the way it is up there, could have a collapse.
A truss roof is a system, so if one fails, it all.
They're all kind of connected.
You're aware of it,
Yeah.
so it's up to it's up to you folks
Will you
to
make-
get an engineer to look at it, to come up with a solution.
Will you move that for me?
By the selectmen folks, or?
Will you move the $5,000 from the selectmen for me?
Next
Ruth can't move it.
Ruth?
I need a
Okay.
motion for the $5,000 total. Anyone?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it, thank you. We do not meet next week.
No.
We meet the 3rd, and by we, I mean, I won't be here. Ron will be here.
Hopefully.
I'm always busy the first Tuesday in December. They knew when I signed my contract.
Well, I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving.
Can I take a
Thank you.
motion for an adjournment?
I make the motion to.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Colleen, when you're ready, you can turn.
Recording stopped. Thanks, good night.